teacher. I'm 80 years old, so I've seen a lot of things happen in education during the years. But there is a bill pending in the Senate that has already passed the House that very few people know about. And I'm concerned about protecting the funds that we now receive. This bill is 1846. I read about it in the newspaper and last week. And what this bill will do, it will take the oil and gas wellhead tax that we have always had directly given to education. This bill would divert that money to the legislature for them to decide how to appropriate it. Now, we all know historically, I've seen the legislature take money that was supposed to go to education and divert it. Why would they do this? According to the newspaper, the quote was, so that we, as legislators, can get credit for paying for education. Now, today's legislators may have the, wonderful motives, but if they pass this bill, 1846, and they begin diverting that wellhead tax, giving it to the legislature to let them use their discretion, education could suffer because they've done this in the past. We've seen them divert funds from education. So do not pass this bill. It's already passed the House, and it's already going to the Senate for a vote. 1846.
We passed a similar one, and all it was an accounting procedure because there was like $30 million coming off the gross production tax that was going to education that was not being counted as in the formula or in the assessment that's given to education. So we had $30 million that was going to education, wasn't being accounted for as going to education. And so to make it as part of the funding for education, you had to change an accounting procedure, and so that's why we voted for it. So it'll go into that that column that says funds for education.
But it will
that's what we did in the Senate.
Will go to the House voted for it too.
Okay.
And so this money will go to the Senate for them to appropriate to education if they see fit.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me. If they see fit to give it to education, they will. If not, they won't. That is something that should be defeated. We've got to protect the funds that we now have.
Yeah.
It's pitiful
And
enough the way it is.
I know there's a lot of distrust, but everybody wants to protect education. Let me give you some numbers, okay?
Want and doing are two different things.
Show us, don't tell us. Everybody wants to, okay? Everybody wants to. We're short. Here, let me, please.
Come on, guys, let him talk.
We're 800 million short. Okay, how we got there, we can be here from now to midnight, okay? So we're not gonna go there. I'm just telling you, we walked in, we're 800 million short. Should that have been taken care of a few years ago? Yes, but it wasn't. We walked in, we're 800 million short. Okay, so last year, fiscal year 17, appropriation to the State Department of Education was $2.426 billion, which is the exact same amount as it was in fiscal year 16. The agency later received a supplemental appropriation of $30 million, bringing the total appropriation for fiscal year 17 to the State Department of Education to $2,456,721,434. The Regents for Higher Education took a cut of 10.7%. Department of Transportation took a cut of 16.2%, and the Department of Career and Technology took a cut of 5.3%. So the legislature last year held common education at the same level as they did in fiscal year 16. I'm not debating whether it's enough or not. I'm not saying. I'm saying based on the monies that the legislature had, they kept it the same for the 2 years. cut transportation, cut higher ed, cut career and technology. The total revenue for common education statewide for fiscal year 17 was $8,322,048,009. If you divide that out by the 690,000 common ed students, that's $12,060 per student. In February of 2017, a revenue failure was declared by OMES, resulting in a 0.7% cut across the board to all state agencies. That resulted in 11 million being reduced in common education, or $16 per student. Unfortunately, revenues for the 1017 fund did not come in as projected, and that caused a shortfall of 39.1 million, or $57 per student. The 1017 fund consists of revenues from personal income tax, corporate income tax, a portion of cigarette and tobacco tax, and a portion of tribal gaming and horse track gaming revenues, just to remind you. That caused a total decline of $50,225,889, or $721 per student. So the legislature said we had last year, there was this revenue failure. We kept fiscal year 17 equal to 16 in education, dropped many other departments. Will they do that again this year? I don't know. But the history says, these are the numbers, that they held it the same. They. Because we weren't there. We weren't there. Okay? And my guess, and I'll get Carol's comment here, is that they're going to try to do the same thing again and try to keep it level again to do that. Somehow, some way. So that means other departments are going to be cut even more severe than they were the year before, so they can keep education the same. Amy, go ahead.
Amy Sheldon, TPS School Board. So with all due respect, Senator Rader, we did experience $10 million of cuts in our budget this year. We're looking at $12 million for next year. So I wanted to know if the two of you took the survey and
Yes.
what your plan is to fund
Sure did.
education next year.
Sure did.
This is a crisis situation.
I did. I took the survey. Sure did.
What did you cut?
Yeah, what did you cut?
Huh?
What did you cut on the survey? What did you cut to save $1,000?
To save $1,000,
Did you do the furlough days?
I don't think I said furlough days.
You have to either do bus or furlough days in order to make the $1,000.
You can't possibly
You have
get
to
$1,000
choose one of them.
If we use those furlough days, which is the fastest way to save money, so is cutting football,
Right.
we are going to
Cut
cut. We will have
Brought
to
this
stop
way,
paying our
keep
teachers
that.
on those days. We are already, TPS, 173 school days a year. The national average is 180 school days a year. If we
By
added
state law.
if we added 4 more days of school, or 30 minutes more per day in the school year, by the time our students graduate high school, they will have had 2 more years of education. So if we're cutting school days, we are cutting potentially years of education out of our students,
You're
which
breaking
hurts,
the state law too.
which hurts the entire
You have to have
community
180
on a
days.
long-term basis. We cannot possibly cut education anymore. I don't want you to cut education. I want you to make more money in our state.
I have an education also.
I agree with you
It's a
totally.
state law that you have to have 180 days of schooling. I have one child I homeschool and one child that's in public school. Public school breaks the law almost every year.
I understand. You've been waiting a long time. Thank you.